Hey guys, welcome to Pol Ke Bol. Today we are going to talk about Manchester United and its current condition under Erik Ten Hag or ETH. What I really love about the current state of Manchester United is that for the first time in a decade, we actually genuinely are in the right direction, right? I know we have had many false positives over the last decade since Sir Alex left, but I think this is for the first time you genuinely feel okay. The club is a bit of a no nonsense club right now because earlier, for the last 10 years, somewhere or the other, we were more of a practical social media company rather than an actual running football club. Some of the decisions that were made at the club, especially the transfers, were made on the basis of how really popular some of the players were. But today, I feel under Erik Ten Hag, I think we are more of a proper football club rather than a media company, pretending to be a football club. And I think things are going in the right direction under Eth. What I really like about him is that he has started looking at Manchester United as a project in a realistic sense. He's not underestimating the task because if you ask me, a Mourinho and a Solskjaer definitely underestimated the task. Louis Van Gaal still knew what is required because he's actually worked at clubs like Barcelona when they were in a dysfunctional state. But he somehow just did not respect the culture of Manchester United, the philosophy of Manchester United, to use a word which he really loved so much. And I would say that Moyes was never cut out for the job, right? So Moyes done. Like Van Gaal never respected us, so obviously it was never going to work out. Mourinho underestimated the club and its challenge. He was a broken man after Real Madrid. I've always maintained something happened, and he was just like, yeah, this is not, he lost his charm after Real Madrid, is what I genuinely believe. And the whole slide down into, anonymity slash, you know, unimportantness, if that's a word, of Mourinho currently, irrelevance, sorry, has happened. It all started at Manchester United. And yeah, he did win the league with Chelsea. I think once he came back in the second stint with Chelsea, I think, yeah, he did. But even there, the kind of weird shit he pulled off, he was a man who was not himself before. He was the king of mind games. I think he became a victim of mind games in the latter half of his career, which is quite ironic if you ask me. Solskjaer was always like interim fit, and here's the thing, right? Like, treat, you know, treat a friendship like a friendship. Don't turn them into brothers, right? Which is what we did with Solskjaer. Like, you just took something which was supposed to be temporary, and then you turned it into like a full-on commitment thingy, just based on momentum, just based on short-sightedness, and somewhere also it made some economic sense for the owners, not for the club. I would say that, and clearly lots of wrong decisions. And I genuinely believe the man at the top, the boss, the person at the top rather, is the most important part of any organization because they determine the direction of the organization. And whether it's a football club, a company, a government, or even a local body, doesn't matter what it is. It's the people at the top who determine it. And there was a crisis of leadership at Manchester United, which is thankfully currently not there, or even if it is there, Erik Ten Hag is ensuring it isn't out in the open like it was all those years ago. What all those? It was just like one year ago. It was such a mess. The club was such a mess in some ways, and it's not like Ed hasn't had his fair share of controversies, but he's just managed to, just managed to stay above all of it, and he's shown that he's there just to be a professional. He has a vision, a long-term vision for the club. He has a current mission for the club, a short-term one, where he's like, okay, in the next couple of years we have to win the Premier League, but we can try and challenge in the year or next year, but we are not going to win it for another 2 3 years. He made it very clear when he entered, right? And we are almost done with almost 7 8 months since Ed's joined, and man, he's had to go through a lot, like the whole Ronaldo situation, Greenwood situation, and I would say like there is even a bid to take over. The protests against the Glazers, they haven't died down. Most likely, it's going to be one of the Middle Eastern, nation states that are going to buy Manchester United, and that's the future of football, right? Like, these big money billionaires are going to run the show. They currently do, even now, but now it will be like generally like the state of Qatar or the fund of UAE, something of that sort. Those will be the ones. Someone from China, someone from India. These mega billionaires, not the chotu ones. It's even funny calling any billionaire chotu, but some of the, relatively speaking, yes, they are. So what I would say is. The direction of the club is good currently. Eth has had his fair share of challenges and controversies, but he hasn't let them distract him from his immediate mission at hand. Um, United look as a club and as a team very different and in a positive way from the last year. Okay, from early 2022 to currently 2023, if you see a YOY year on year improvement, United have progressed for the first time in years rather than regressed, which is just an achievement for the club. And we are still like good 3 players away, 4 players away from challenging for top titles like the Premier League and the Champions League. But we can get there. We can get there. And the biggest thing is like some of these changes aren't as big as you might think. Like just the addition of Casemiro has changed the way United plays. I thought it would be it would be Ronaldo's signing that would change the way United played. It did for the worse, but the real catalyst has been like a defensive midfielder, a grade defensive midfielder, who we have been needing for almost like 10 years now. We tried it with Ander Herrera, we tried it with McTominay, Fred, and Fred is not a DM per se, a traditional one, but none of them stuck until we really got like world class defensive midfielder. See, everyone had it, right? Chelsea had Kante, um, Liverpool had like Fabinho, City had Fernandinho. We now got Casemiro. You need these players who are going to be genuinely good. Barcelona always had like a Sergio Busquets. Madrid had Casemiro for donkey's years. Now we have him, thankfully. And without these, destroyers in the middle, no four-man defense is good, plus a keeper are ever going to be a serious contender for any title. And titles are important because they give you momentum and they give you that confidence that the team is in the right direction. You can keep winning matches, and when it matters, you lose, which is what happened with us in the Europa League, in the semi-finals, in the finals, in so many other places like FA Cup finals against Chelsea. Stupid mistakes, inconsistent players, no game plan, relying on individual brilliance, and even on top of it, like all the politics and all the distractions from player and the dressing room dissidents that we had. And now, finally, with Pogba gone, Ronaldo gone, the club is a bit more stable from a dressing room sense. And all these tough decisions were made by Erik Ten Hag, and I think mad props to him. And even the leadership behind the scenes, for that matter, since Ed Woodward has gone, United has been going in the right direction. Okay, let's be very honest. That guy was a problem. Okay, and now you have a United that plays like United. Okay, of course, we still keep making stupid mistakes, but we still have some really good players who are finally hitting the potential. Look at Rashford. He's finally playing that like the world class forward we thought he would be. And here's the thing: the best thing about Rashford is that he's still like 2 notches below what he can truly be. I genuinely feel, is he as good as Mbappe? No, I don't think so. But there's no problem being second fiddle to an Mbappe, right? For the next 10 years, Mbappe and Rashford can be, the top 2, 3 players in the world, and Rashford is clearly there. Of course, Erling Haaland is there, but Rashford is much more well-rounded and much more dynamic a player than an Erling Haaland. Okay, Haaland is a brilliant striker. Haaland is a better striker than Rashford, but Rashford is a better footballer than Haaland. Let me just put it that way. And Mbappe is just better than both of them on both the fronts and all fronts, any front for that matter. Although I would say Rashford is never going to leave, England for any other avenue. I would say definitely not. Although Mbappe can, and Mbappe will for that matter. He's not going to stay at PSG forever. So Rashford will have that advantage of stability, for the next decade. I'll say the same thing about Haaland. He's definitely gonna go to Spain, either Barcelona or Madrid. I see him more as a Madrid player, but if Mbappe goes to Madrid, then there is only one place for Haaland, and that is Bayern Munich. He's going to do what Lewandowski did, right? But instead of going direct, he's going to go indirectly. Haaland is going to go back to Bayern, and there he's going to win those titles, like five Bundesligas in a row, and like two Champions Leagues in 5 years. That's just going to happen. We all know it's going to happen. And but Rashford, on the other hand, will have that 10-year period, that 10-year gap, that whole phase where he's starting from now, by the way, where he's like, you know what, I can literally win like five league titles up in these 10 years if things go right. I can win at least a couple of Champions Leagues and maybe one Ballon d'Or. I feel Rashford has that. He's from England too. Do not forget he's from England. So he's going to have all the PR in the world that is necessary to create a global superstar. I think Rashford is a star right now. He can become a superstar in the coming 5 years. In the coming 3 to 5 years, Rashford can become a proper superstar. And that, I feel, one of the main people in that story will be Erik Ten Hag. If Erik Ten Hag stays at United for another 5 years, I'm sure we'll be a much better and different club than we are right now. And see, here's the thing, right? United have always had relied, you know, for almost a century now. I think United has been relying on these magical managers, as I like to call them, and I like from Sir Matt Busby to Sir Alex. We now are looking. Every new manager comes, we are like, okay, this is the man to take us for 10 more years. I don't think this is how modern football works. The time is different, the expectations are different, the resources are different. So, and Erik Ten Hag, even if he wins everything for 3 years and 2 years continuously, he fails miserably, loses the dressing room, or gets into an argument with the, top management, the real owners, he'll just be asked to leave. And that's going to happen. And that's very much possible. That's very much possible. This is modern football, right? It's not like, oh no, like, United, I'm going to be here for 25 years. Although I would love it, but then the expectations will not drop down. The expectations will not drop down. And there won't be another Sir Alex. Like, there just won't be. That man was a freak who comes once in like 100 years, right? So that's not going to happen. And so what then of Erik Ten Hag, right? The best case scenario for that man is that in the next, couple of years, he wins the Premier League with Manchester United, and then the Champions League in the coming year or two. Okay, and in the next 5 years, at least two Premier League titles, at least. Because see, look, and now is a very good time if you think about it. Eth entered and he said, "Era's come to an end," and I think this is, and it's a very precise statement because he genuinely has hit the nail on this. Because the feeling is that, see, Liverpool are on their way down. Okay, Klopp is a good manager. He's a great manager, legend. Okay, but Klopp also got exceptionally lucky with some of his signings. Okay, the whole Coutinho thing was like a bomb, which was ticking on his side. He just passed it to Barcelona. The player imploded. Barcelona imploded. The transfer market was completely destroyed. All the money they got from there, they invested in a Virgil van Dijk and like Salah and a couple of other players, right? And it was just madness. Like how every player they got, they all came in and they were just like, okay, we are gonna hit the ground running. Like you get like a Van Dijk, and this guy is like basically becomes the best defender in the world in 6 months. You have Salah, who just joins and becomes one of the best players in the whole world, like top two, top three players in the whole world in like 3 to 4, 5, 6 months since he joins Liverpool. Out of nowhere, no one had heard of this guy in Fiorentina or AS Roma. Like, he was there. Like, he joins Liverpool, suddenly becomes one of the best. You have like Sadio Mane, who seemed like a very smart buy from Southampton. Yeah, he's going to be a neat and tidy winger. He's going to do well. Like, and then suddenly he turns into one of the best wingers in the world. What? Okay, now you'll be like, oh no, you should give, your props to their transfer game, their whole approach in the market, and their whole sport direction and whatever was there. Okay, I'll give them that. But this amount of luck is insane. Not to mention Liverpool's pathetic academy, which hasn't produced anything in the last 15 years, suddenly produces the world's best right back. Okay, at least from an attacking perspective, who revolutionizes the archetype of the modern right back with Trent Alexander-Arnold. Okay, suddenly this guy comes out of nowhere and he becomes like super great. And you have didn't they have like another left back, like who was that left back? I'm forgetting. Moreno. They had a left back who was like a usual bumbling Liverpool fullback. The fullbacks have been garbage for years since I've seen them, for almost like 10, 15 years. I've seen Liverpool play properly, and these guys like 15, 20 years, and I'll tell you, like, their fullbacks have always been hit or miss at best. Okay, at best. And suddenly you have like this guy Robertson, who's like an exceptional fullback out of nowhere. Now, how much of the credit are you going to give to Klopp? I just find it absurd. They just got freakishly lucky. Klopp is going down. He's going to need a break. Okay, Klopp is going to he's just going to like be like, okay, this is my last year or something of that sort, and he'll just leave. He's too intense of a person and as a manager, and he's going to leave. He'll ultimately take up something like a Madrid or something which kind of suits him a lot. I don't think he'll go to Bayern considering his relationship with Dortmund, but for sure, he's going to leave Liverpool in some time. That has to happen, and he's not going to leave at a high. Let's be very honest. Look at them; it's a joke of a club right now, and there are like ups and downs, right? And they're currently going through a down. You look at a Chelsea. Chelsea have new owners, new managers. Their transfer strategy is spray and pray. It's not going to work out. But Chelsea has always been volatile. But I don't see them succeeding for another couple of years. Man City, surprisingly enough, they have their own fair share of problems. Uh, the least of which is the Premier League upcoming ban, hopefully, that they have, or a docking of points, or some sanctions that are going to happen against them for some financial irregularities and whatever that the Premier League has been accusing them of. So I feel, and of course, Pep, I don't think, and plus Pep, I don't think is going to win the Champions League anytime soon. So he's won enough of the Premier Leagues that he wanted. His the budget that is given to him every year, the cheat code that he has, he's not going to be kept around for that long. He's going to depart after a point of time, because clearly, if he can't win the Champions League with Erling Haaland as a striker, yeah, he's not going to win ever, with City at least. Having said that, I would say then again, City is gone. Who do you have? Arsenal. Arsenal are doing great. Okay, Arsenal are doing great, but here's the thing with Arsenal. I do not think they'll be able to sustain this for another couple of years, not more than for 2, 3 years. And this is where United will win the Premier League, right? Like, United will have to fight off an Arsenal. Okay, there is an upcoming rivalry with Newcastle, because they have wealthy backers too from the Saudi government, right? Uh, these guys will come up. Newcastle will come up. It looks like it. Newcastle will come up. But United have a good chance, better than fighting City and Liverpool at their best, and Chelsea at their most unpredictable, mercurial self. This is a good time for Erik Ten Hag to actually work his magic. Although the most important transfer window will be the upcoming transfer window, because that will show whether we are a real serious club or not. We say that every transfer window actually. But this time round, it will have consequences, because the title is up for grabs in 2024. Okay, the title is up for grabs. Um, except the last 4, 5 years, we all knew it was going to be City or Liverpool. Okay, we just knew it's going to be them. But now, for the first time, Arsenal will most likely win the Premier League this year, which is unpredictable. Which is surprising, to be very honest. But I would say next year it's up for grabs. United really need to strengthen in the right areas, and yeah, I think Eth has a good sense in the market. Although I genuinely feel that Anthony hasn't worked out really. Sancho, if he really comes back to his best, will do well. There is also the Greenwood situation. People are saying, "Oh, Greenwood's career at United is over." I wouldn't say that so fast. See, for this season, he's not coming back. For the upcoming season, it may or may not happen. So let's just keep our eyes out, and I just hope United does well under Erik Ten Hag. That's all. That's all we can hope for. And yeah, we are going to face Leeds next. Let's hope we smash them. Take care, guys. See you.